Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her laboratory window, watching the strange lights dance across the night sky over the Pacific Ocean. The quantum radiation readings from her instruments had been off the charts for weeks, but nothing could have prepared her for what she was seeing now. The lights weren't meteors or satellites. They moved with purpose, forming intricate patterns that defied natural phenomena. Her secure phone buzzed. "Dr. Chen, are you seeing this?" General Martinez's voice was tense. "Every observatory from Hawaii to Chile is tracking multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere." "Yes, and the quantum signatures match the anomalies we've been studying," Sarah replied, her fingers flying over her keyboard as she analyzed the incoming data. "Whatever they are, they're using technology that manipulates space-time at a fundamental level." The objects descended through the clouds, revealing sleek vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their surfaces rippled like liquid metal, adapting to atmospheric conditions in real time. As they approached major cities across the globe, the world held its breath. The first transmission came simultaneously to every digital device on Earth. The aliens called themselves the Karanth, and their message was both reassuring and subtly threatening. They claimed to have watched humanity for centuries, waiting for the right moment to make contact. They offered friendship, technological advancement, and membership in their galactic coalition. But Sarah noticed something others missed. Hidden in the quantum fluctuations of their transmission was a second signal, one that suggested the Karanth's true intentions were far from benevolent. Over the next few months, the Karanth established themselves as humanity's benefactors. They set up cultural exchange centers in major cities, shared medical knowledge that cured several diseases, and helped solve the global energy crisis. Their ambassador, High Speaker Virane, became a familiar face on news broadcasts, their iridescent scales and multifaceted eyes captivating human audiences. Sarah worked closely with the Karanth scientists, studying their quantum communication technology. But each discovery led to more questions. Why did they insist on controlling all direct communication with their homeworld? Why were certain areas of their ships off limits to human researchers? The answer came during a late-night analysis of their quantum signatures. Sarah discovered that the Karanth's technology wasn't just communication. It was a form of neural manipulation. Every transmission carried subtle patterns that influenced human brain chemistry, making people more compliant and less questioning. She took her findings to General Martinez, who had maintained a healthy skepticism about the aliens' intentions. "They're not here to help us," Sarah explained, showing him the neural pattern analysis. "They're preparing us for something. The medical treatments, the technology sharing, it's all designed to make us dependent on them." The general studied the data, his expression grim. "We've seen this before in human history. Give people enough comfort and security, and they'll accept almost anything in return." "It's worse than that," Sarah continued. "I've detected massive energy signatures in orbit. They're building something, and whatever it is, it's designed to broadcast these neural patterns across the entire planet." Before they could act on this information, the Karanth made their next move. High Speaker Virane announced a new initiative, a cultural integration program for human children. They claimed it would help the next generation better understand alien technology and culture. Sarah's analysis revealed the truth. The program would expose children to concentrated doses of neural manipulation, permanently altering their brain chemistry to ensure absolute loyalty to the Karanth. As she stared at the data confirming her worst fears, Sarah realized humanity had been maneuvered into a terrible position. The Karanth had spent months building trust, making Earth's population dependent on their technology and medical treatments. Any resistance would be seen as ungrateful or paranoid. But they had made one critical mistake. They had underestimated humanity's capacity for rebellion, especially when their children were threatened. As Sarah encrypted her findings and prepared to release them to key people around the world, she knew the real war for Earth's future was about to begin. The Karanth thought they had mastered the art of subtle conquest, but they were about to learn that humans were far more dangerous when protecting their own. The deception was ending, and humanity's true strength, its fierce determination to remain free, was about to be unleashed. The first signs of resistance appeared in unexpected places. A group of mothers in Buenos Aires noticed their children drawing the same strange symbols after attending the Karanth's cultural integration sessions. In Mumbai, a teacher recorded students speaking in perfect unison, reciting Karanth historical texts they'd never been taught. And in Lagos, parents reported their children no longer dreamed at night. Sarah Chen's findings spread through encrypted channels, passed from phone to phone, computer to computer. The Karanth's neural manipulation technology had a fatal flaw. It couldn't effectively control humans during REM sleep, when the brain's natural chaos created interference patterns. The aliens had been slowly eliminating this vulnerability in children through their educational programs. Captain Maya Rodriguez of the Brazilian Special Forces received the data while investigating a series of disappearances near a Karanth cultural center. "They're not just changing how our children think," she told her superior officers. "They're trying to change what they are." The evidence was irrefutable. Brain scans of affected children showed altered neural pathways that mimicked Karanth thought patterns. The aliens weren't preparing humanity for integration. They were restructuring human consciousness itself. Underground resistance cells formed across the globe, connected through old-fashioned radio signals and paper messages that couldn't be intercepted by Karanth quantum monitoring. They called themselves the Dreamers, in defiance of what the aliens were trying to take from humanity's children. The Karanth responded to the growing unrest with a new announcement. High speaker Virane, their scaled face showing what humans had learned to recognize as concern, revealed that Earth's sun was entering an unstable phase. Only their advanced technology could protect humanity from devastating solar flares. The price: mandatory participation in their neural enhancement programs for all humans under 25. Dr. James Wilson, a solar physicist at NASA, risked his life to expose the lie. There were no dangerous solar flares coming. The Karanth had fabricated the threat using their own orbital technology to create artificial solar disturbances. But before his message could reach the general public, the aliens struck. Synchronized attacks hit every major military installation on Earth, not with weapons, but with targeted quantum pulses that scrambled human neural patterns, leaving soldiers and commanders in a state of confused compliance. The Karanth had prepared this assault for months, hiding quantum broadcasters in their humanitarian aid packages. But they didn't account for Dr. Chen's latest discovery. Working with a team of neuroscientists and quantum physicists in a hidden facility beneath the Australian outback, she had found that human emotions, particularly those tied to protecting family and community, generated quantum patterns that could disrupt Karanth technology. Captain Rodriguez led the first successful counterattack in Sao Paulo. Her team, equipped with crude but effective emotional amplification devices developed from Sarah's research, managed to disable a Karanth neural broadcasting station. The aliens' response was swift and brutal, leveling several city blocks with energy weapons they'd claimed didn't exist. The destruction had an unintended effect. It shattered the carefully constructed illusion of benevolence the Karanth had built. As images of the attack spread worldwide, humans began to resist the neural manipulation through sheer force of will. Parents broke through the confusion to protect their children. Communities banded together, sharing resources and hiding those most vulnerable to the alien influence. In their orbital stations, the Karanth leaders faced an unprecedented situation. Their quantum scans showed chaotic patterns of human neural activity they couldn't predict or control. Humanity's emotional responses were creating interference that threatened to destabilize their entire network of control devices. High speaker Virane received reports of growing resistance with increasing concern. Their species had conquered 12 others through subtle manipulation and neural restructuring, but humans were proving different. The very chaos they sought to eliminate was becoming humanity's strongest defense. Sarah Chen, now working with a global network of scientists and resistance fighters, recognized the critical moment had arrived. They thought they could change who we are, she told her colleagues as they prepared to launch a coordinated worldwide counterattack. But they forgot that adaptation, chaos, and determination aren't weaknesses in our species. They're the source of our strength. The Karanth were about to learn that their greatest mistake wasn't in choosing to subjugate humanity. It was in believing that the human spirit could be quantified, controlled, and conquered through technology alone. The Karanth never expected to be outmaneuvered by primitive tactics. Their first major defeat came in the dense Amazon rainforest, where their quantum scanning technology couldn't penetrate the thick canopy and complex root systems. Indigenous guides led resistance fighters through hidden paths, using the forest itself as both weapon and shield. Lieutenant Anna Silva, a former anthropologist turned guerrilla leader, coordinated attacks from mobile camps that seemed to vanish into the landscape. Our ancestors survived here for thousands of years, she told her fighters. They learned to live with the chaos of nature instead of trying to control it. That's something the Karanth will never understand. The aliens' sophisticated neural weapons proved useless against fighters who had trained themselves to enter meditative states drawn from ancient traditions. Buddhist monks in Tibet shared techniques that allowed humans to create mental static, disrupting the Karanth's attempts at control. African drummers discovered that certain rhythms could create interference patterns in the aliens' quantum field networks. In the urban centers, humanity's rebellion took on different forms. Street artists in Tokyo created murals that incorporated patterns that confused Karanth optical sensors. Hackers in Silicon Valley found ways to introduce human emotional patterns into the aliens' quantum networks, causing cascading system failures. Dr. Chen's team made another breakthrough while studying captured Karanth technology. Their systems are built on perfect order, she explained to military leaders gathered in the underground facility. They've evolved beyond biological chaos, but that's made them vulnerable. They can't process true randomness anymore. The discovery led to an unprecedented global strategy. Instead of trying to match the Karanth's technological superiority, humanity embraced its own complexity. Every culture, every tradition, every form of art and expression became a weapon. In India, massive festivals were organized, combining traditional celebrations with tactical objectives. The chaotic mix of emotions, movements, and sounds created dead zones in the Karanth's control network. Similar strategies emerged worldwide. Spanish flamenco dancers coordinated resistance movements. West African storytellers passed coded messages through ancient oral traditions, and Australian Aboriginal songlines guided sabotage teams through the outback. The Karanth responded by deploying their most advanced combat units, biomechanical warriors engineered for perfect efficiency. But they encountered an enemy that refused to follow logical patterns of warfare. Vietnamese farmers adapted ancient punji trap designs to disrupt the aliens' levitation technology. Mongolian nomads used traditional hunting techniques to ambush Karanth patrols in the steppes. Captain Rodriguez, now coordinating resistance efforts across South America, received reports of similar successes worldwide. They thought technology made them superior, she said during a secure transmission to other resistance leaders. But they forgot that humans have been solving impossible problems since we first picked up stones as tools. The turning point came during a massive Karanth assault on a seemingly defenseless London. The aliens deployed their full arsenal of neural weapons, expecting to finally crush the resistance in a major urban center. Instead, they found themselves caught in a trap centuries in the making. The city's ancient street layout, built upon Roman roads and medieval paths, created natural interference patterns in their quantum fields. Resistance fighters used the underground tunnels, many unknown even to modern city planners, to outflank Karanth positions. Church bells rang in precisely calculated patterns, disrupting alien communication networks. Sarah Chen, monitoring the battle from a hidden bunker, watched as human chaos theory played out in real time. The Karanth's perfect formations broke apart as they tried to adapt to attacks coming from directions their strategic algorithms couldn't predict. Their neural weapons, designed to impose order on human minds, backfired as they encountered the combined emotional resonance of millions of people fighting for their home. High-speaker Virain, observing from orbit, faced a devastating realization. The Caranth had evolved beyond what they saw as primitive biological limitations, but in doing so, they had lost something crucial: the ability to adapt to genuine chaos. Every human victory demonstrated this fundamental weakness in their supposedly superior species. As humanity's resistance gained momentum, the Caranth discovered another problem. Their own troops, exposed to human unpredictability, began showing signs of change. Some reported experiencing emotions they had thought long engineered out of their species. Others began questioning the logic of their perfect order. The war was transforming both sides, but not in the way the Caranth had planned. Instead of humanity being forced into alien patterns of thought, the aliens found themselves remembering what it meant to be truly alive. Dr. Sarah Chen's breakthrough came during a failed Caranth attack on a children's shelter in Vancouver. As their neural weapons activated, something extraordinary happened. The children, instead of succumbing to control, began to sing. The impromptu chorus created a feedback loop that completely destroyed the alien equipment. It's not just random interference, Sarah explained to a gathering of scientists in the underground facility. Human emotions generate quantum patterns that are fundamentally incompatible with Caranth technology. And children, with their uninhibited emotional responses, produce the strongest effects. The discovery revolutionized the resistance. Working with Dr. Amit Patel, a quantum physicist from Mumbai, Sarah developed what they called emotion amplifiers, devices that could capture and focus the quantum signatures of human emotional states. The first tests exceeded all expectations. A network of musicians, coordinated by former concert pianist turned resistance fighter Maria Hernandez, demonstrated that certain combinations of music and collective emotion could disrupt Caranth systems at a molecular level. Every performance becomes a weapon, Maria explained while training new recruits. Every feeling we express weakens their control. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. James Wilson, studying damaged Caranth technology, noticed something remarkable. The aliens' quantum processors showed signs of adaptation when exposed to human emotional patterns. They weren't just being disrupted. They were trying to understand and integrate these new patterns. Their technology is alive in a way, he reported to the resistance leadership, and it's starving for something the Caranth engineered out of their society centuries ago: genuine emotion, creativity, the beautiful chaos of consciousness. The implications were staggering. The Caranth hadn't just made themselves vulnerable to human emotions. They had created technology that actively craved what they had lost. Each exposure to human consciousness caused their systems to evolve in unpredictable ways. Captain Rodriguez led the first large-scale test of this discovery in Brazil. Her forces didn't just fight the Caranth. They surrounded them with art, music, and dance. The alien troops found their neural networks flooded with human experiences: love, fear, joy, sorrow, wonder. Their perfect formation dissolved as individual soldiers began experiencing emotions their species had forgotten. The effect spread through the Caranth's quantum communication network like a virus. Alien commanders reported growing instability in their forces. Some units refused to fire on human civilians. Others began showing interest in human culture that went beyond tactical analysis. Sarah's team worked around the clock to develop what they called consciousness bombs, devices that could broadcast concentrated bursts of human emotional and creative energy. The first deployment in Seoul turned an entire Caranth battalion into observers, their weapons forgotten as they experienced the full spectrum of human feeling for the first time in their species' history. But the most powerful weapon proved to be human children. Their natural ability to feel deeply, imagine wildly, and express themselves without restraint created quantum patterns that the Caranth's technology couldn't resist. Schools became fortress laboratories where children's art, stories, and songs were recorded and transformed into defensive shields and offensive capabilities. High-speaker Virain, monitoring these developments from orbit, faced a crisis unprecedented in Coranth history. Their perfect society, built on the elimination of emotional chaos, was being undone by the very beings they had sought to improve. Worse, their own people were beginning to change. Young Coranth, particularly those with prolonged exposure to human consciousness, started showing signs of emotional development. Some began creating art, crude by human standards, but shocking in a society that had abandoned creative expression. Others requested permanent assignment to Earth to study human culture more closely. The Resistance's greatest victory came not through destruction, but transformation. During a major battle in St. Petersburg, a Coranth commander ordered his troops to lower their weapons and requested asylum. "We feel," he told his stunned human captors. "For the first time in uncounted generations, we feel. And we cannot go back to the emptiness." Sarah Chen, reviewing the data from this encounter, realized that humanity hadn't just found a way to fight the Coranth. They had found a way to save them. The aliens' technological evolution had led them to a dead end, but human consciousness offered a path back to genuine life. As news of these developments spread through the Coranth fleet, more aliens began questioning their mission. Their perfect order was unraveling, replaced by something messy, chaotic, and undeniably alive. The war was becoming a revolution, not just for humanity, but for their would-be conquerors as well. The final battle for Earth began not with weapons, but with a song. As the massive Coranth mothership descended through the atmosphere above New York, millions of humans joined in a global chorus coordinated through the remains of the Internet. The quantum resonance of their combined voices shook the alien vessel's neural networks to their core. High-speaker Virane watched in astonishment as their most advanced systems began to respond in unexpected ways. The ship's quantum processors, designed to maintain perfect order, instead began amplifying and reflecting the human emotional broadcast. Throughout the vessel, Coranth crew members experienced something their species had not known for millennia: genuine connection. Dr. Sarah Chen, monitoring from the United Nations building below, recognized the critical moment. "They're not just feeling our emotions," she told the assembled human leaders. "Their technology is evolving to seek it out. Everything they built to control us is becoming a bridge between our species." The revolution within the Coranth ranks reached its tipping point. Junior officers, already transformed by exposure to human consciousness, broke ranks. Led by Sub-Commander Zell, a young Coranth who had spent months studying human art, they opened communication channels to Earth on all frequencies. "We understand now," Zell's message echoed across the planet. "Our species chose perfect order over the chaos of life. We thought we were evolving, but we were dying. Humanity hasn't just resisted us. You've awakened us." But not all Coranth embraced this awakening. High Speaker Virane and the old guard commanders initiated their final protocol: a massive quantum pulse designed to erase all emotional capacity from both humans and rebellious Coranth. The mothership's core began to pulse with deadly energy. Captain Rodriguez, now coordinating global defense from a command center in Rio, recognized their last chance. Every human settlement, every resistance cell, every person with access to our emotion amplifiers, focus everything on the mothership, not in anger or hate, but with everything that makes us human. Show them what they've forgotten. The response surpassed all expectations. From Tibetan monasteries to African villages, from city squares to desert outposts, humanity unleashed a tidal wave of consciousness. Children's laughter, lovers' whispers, the joy of creation, the pain of loss, the wonder of discovery, every human experience flowed through the quantum network the Coranth had built to control them. Within the mothership, the effect was catastrophic for the old order but transformative for the species. The quantum pulse weapon, saturated with human emotional energy, reversed itself. Instead of erasing feelings, it awakened them. High Speaker Virane and the command staff found themselves experiencing the full spectrum of emotion for the first time in their lives. The scene in the mothership's control room captured the transformation of an entire civilization. Varying, their scaled face reflecting new depths of expression, sank to their knees. "How did we forget?" they whispered. "How did we survive so long without this?" Dr. James Wilson, analyzing the quantum data from the event, made a startling discovery. The Coranth technology, exposed to sustained human consciousness, had evolved beyond its original design. It had become a true bridge between species, allowing direct emotional and mental connection. The war ended not with surrender, but with synthesis. The Coranth, awakened to their lost humanity, offered a new kind of partnership. Their technology, merged with human consciousness, opened possibilities neither species had imagined. The orbital platforms, once meant for control, became centers for artistic and emotional expression that could be felt across the galaxy. Sarah Chen, standing with Zell in the transformed mothership weeks later, watched Earth rotate below. "We thought you came to change us," she said, "but we ended up changing each other." The young Coranth, their scales now shifting with subtle colors that reflected their emotions, nodded. "Our species sought perfection in pure logic and lost ourselves. You showed us that true evolution embraces chaos, creativity, and connection. The universe is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be experienced." Across Earth, the integration of Coranth technology with human consciousness led to unprecedented advances. Children learned to shape quantum fields with their imaginations. Artists created works that could be felt rather than just seen. The boundary between thought and creation, emotion and reality, began to blur. But perhaps the most profound change was in the Coranth themselves. Their society, once rigidly ordered, bloomed with new forms of expression. They learned to sing, to dance, to create, to love. Their technology, designed to impose order, became a medium for spreading creativity throughout the galaxy. The attempted conquest of Earth marked not the end of human independence, but the beginning of a greater adventure. Together, humans and Coranth set out to explore the universe, not to perfect it, but to experience its endless wonder. They carried with them the greatest lesson of their conflict, that the heart's chaos is not a weakness to be conquered, but the source of all that makes life worth living.